class. So we are starting chapter 7 today, and chapter 7 and chapter 6 are very similar. So that is the good news. We are going to continue doing calculations using contribution margin. So we're looking at costs, variable costs and fixed costs. And we're also going to start calculating some things like break-even point in units and in dollars, and how much money, how many units we need to sell to make a certain profit, and so on. In order for me to show you all the different formulas, which by the way, all of this is in your book, I am going to use problem number 39A. It's a comprehensive problem. So rather than me changing the data for these different calculations, I'm going to use the same data. And we may divide this into two videos because I found that longer videos are sometimes don't upload and we have problems with YouTube. So in any event, this is problem 39A. So we're given some basic information. This is, by the way, the Alpha Manufacturing Company. So I've written down some of the data that we are given. The sales price per unit is $20. Direct materials to make the product, $6.70. Direct labor, $7. Variable manufacturing costs per unit, $2. Variable selling, general and administrative expenses, $1.80. Okay, so the very first question, number 1, is what is the company's contribution margin? Well, the contribution margin, so the total variable costs are, if we add these up, $17.50. So the contribution margin is $2.50 per unit. Still on question 1. What is the contribution margin percentage? Well, $2.50 divided by $20 gives us something around approximately, and that's what that means, 13%. And lastly, item 1. What is the total contribution margin? Well, they tell us in the problem that they're going to plan to sell 130,000 units. So the total contribution margin will be $2.50 times 130,000 units. And this one I will need my calculator for. 130,000 times $2.50. 2.5 times $325,000. So that's the total contribution margin. And there are the answers to number 1. So none of this is particularly new, okay? Moving on to number 2, question 2. What would the company's monthly operating income be if they sold 160,000 units? Okay, so I'll erase some of this. So now we're looking for 160,000 units times $2.50. So the total contribution margin in that case will be $400,000. But remember, they asked us about operating income. So we need to then subtract out the fixed expenses, which we are told, fixed manufacturing overhead, so things like plant depreciation and so on, 102,300. And fixed general, selling general administrative expenses like the president of the company's salary and the marketing costs and so on, $187,800. So $400,000 minus 102,000 minus the two fixed costs should give us $109,900. So that's the operating income if they sell 160,000 units. And just to repeat, that's the answer to number 2 in this problem. Again, not new information, but we're going to keep adding to this problem. Moving on to number 3. What would the company's monthly operating income be if they had sales of $4.5 million? Okay, so now we're going to have to use that 13%. So $4.5 million of sales, and you can do this a number of ways. You could say, well, how many units was that? Or we can use the percent. If we use the percent, 13% times $4.5 million, let's see what that gives us. 4,500 times 0.13. $585,000 here. And now, subtracting out the fixed cost to get the operating income, 585,000 minus 102,000 minus 187,000, 294,900. So that's the operating income if they have sales of $4.5 million. So I used a percentage in this case. I could have also divided this by $20 a unit to figure out how many units they sold, and I could have done it the other way, contribution margin times the number of units. So there's more than one way to solve these problems. Again, no new calculations, although we're looking at it more from a total perspective. Okay, so here's our first new problem or new formula. The question is, what is the break even? In other words, how many units that do they need to sell so they won't lose any money? So we're going to, that formula, by the way, and I'll write it out here in words. So it's fixed cost plus desired profit and why am I saying this? Because this is a good way to remember it, divided by the contribution margin per unit. Per unit. All right, so if I tell you that we want to break even, the desired profit would be 0. Okay, but I'm leaving this with this description because I will have another problem in this one where we give a desired profit amount. And you might well expect that a company leader might say, I want to make this amount of money, how many units do I need to sell? But right now we're going to work on the break even. So let me put numbers together with this. Fixed costs. So we have the fixed costs here. 102,300 plus 187,800. So the fixed costs for our company are $290,400. $100. And the contribution margin per unit is $2.50. And now we'll do the math. 290,100 divided by 2.5. So in order to break even, they need to sell 116,040 units of their product. So and this, by the way, is number 4 in problem 39A. So this is the break even in units. I believe they also ask in the same problem, what is the break even in dollars? And the break even in dollars we can find by simply multiplying this times the selling price. And that gives us $2,320,800. And that's our break even in dollars. So I will end this session and I will pick up with item number 5. Stay well and stay safe.